Okay, so to kind of wrap up my point here, I went back and found the shirt. I took a picture of it. So here it is. So finishing a nearly perfect design is better than not finishing a perfect design. So there you go. So that's maybe a more elegant way to put the 95% rule. So if you're given a choice of not handing in an assignment or saying, okay, it's not quite the level of where I expect it, but I want to wrap it up. I want to finish it. It's always much better to finish a nearly perfect design than not a perfect design. Now, don't hand in a job that isn't to your best of ability. That's not the point of this. So be very careful with that. Um, so, kind of another example of that is I had a student working on a machine design project, and he was trying to make a hammock, and he had some bent pipes, and they were bent at a compound angle. So it was kind of a complicated drawing to make, model to make in SolidWorks, and he was struggling with hours and hours, and he was asking me for help. I said, well, what's going on? He said, well, I keep bending it by zero point 0.1 degree, and then it misses, and then it goes back if I bend it by another zero point zero 0.05 degrees. I said, well, how far off are you? And he said, oh, I'm a 32nd of an inch from the beams hitting each other. I said, well, in the real world, that's fine. If you were welding those two pipes together, the welder could just clamp them and weld them, and you'd be fine. So kind of recognize what is worth your time, but don't just, waste all day on it where, a 32nd of an inch, that's not much at all. Um, my last thing I want to talk about is, or two last things I want to talk about. I used to work for the Army for 12 years as a design engineer, and I designed outriggers for vehicle testing. So it's basically when a vehicle would go through a lane change maneuver, and I would have to design these outriggers that would stick off the side to prevent them from rolling over. So it would protect the equipment, which was very expensive, but more important, it would protect the driver who, obviously I cared that the driver didn't get hurt. So there's a lot of assumption we had to make for these outriggers designs. And, if I wanted to do the 100% perfect solution every time, we would never got anything tested. But how was I able to sleep well at night? Well, I always did physical testing to verify the new design works. So there's only so much you could get from a theoretical standpoint and a computer standpoint and an analysis standpoint. But if you physically test your product, then you're confident, hey, it is going to work. And then the very last quote I want to say is successful people are results oriented, unsuccessful people are activity oriented. So we want to focus on the results. What's the product that we're getting out? So I know there was a lot to this, but hopefully it kind of sets the tone for not only this class but your engineering career as a whole. I'm very passionate about being good engineers, so hopefully this all made sense to you guys. Okay,